initials only over there. So, Pat Delaney getting ready as... oh, it's the jersey which Ken Hogan is wearing. They were unhappy with the colour, thinking it was too similar to Antrim's one. That's the reason why he's been asked to go across there. 35 minutes each way. And Pat Delaney gets this 102nd All-Ireland hurling final underway, and Declan Ryan setting Tipp off into an early attack, and that will be an Antrim sideline ball. The first 10-15 minutes vital, in particular for Antrim. Nervous moments for them as Desi Donnelly prepares to take this sideline cut right into the centre towards Paul McKillen, met by Declan Ryan. Stalemate as James McNaughton tries to get it out into the centre. Conal Bonnar, and again the ball over the far sideline. Antrim making ground on the far side of the field. This is Paul McKillen from Ballycastle. Hurled very steadily during that absorbing semi-final win here 4 weeks ago. Noel Morris in the background with Tommy Barrett and the Tipperary subs. Paul McKillen's cut, held by John Heffernan. Driven down over the head of Dominic McKinley. Desi Donnelly is coming out from left corner back. McKinley is back there. It's picked up by McKeegan. Towards McCarry. Beautifully caught by Conal Bonnar into Colm Bonnar, his brother. Whipped on smartly down towards Cormac Bonnar. With Terry Donnelly there as well. Cormac Bonnar and Fox in. Alert, sharp, looking for an opening score. Referee has an advantage, and it's driven wide finally by Michael Cleary. Cleary was following up very smartly that time after that fine penetrating run by Pat Fox. Well, there were questions about the strength of this Antrim full back line, and Pat Fox was smartly in to test its shape and its mettle that time. He lost that ball following the challenge, and Cleary was following up and wide. Back in the centre, a sideline ball.
Nicholas English was wide, nobody marking him. First Bonnar or then Fox had a spot on him. He was clear, unmarked for at least 5 or 6 seconds.
So plenty of evidence of nerves so far, and Paul McKillen is ready to take yet another sideline ball, still scoreless. Just over 2 minutes gone in the opening 35 minutes. Faces peering there to get a little view of the action as McKillen cuts it in. It's cut by Conal Bonnar. Driven deep out of defence down towards Pat Fox there with Desi Donnelly. Declan Carr going across to take the sideline ball for Tipperary. His third championship match for Tipperary this afternoon, having started against Limerick and been withdrawn that day. He certainly justified his recall with a satisfactory semi-final performance against Galway. Low in towards Cleary. Looking for the opening score. Is that on its way? It is! Michael Cleary, the scorer. His 5th point in this year's championship, giving Tipp the lead. Niall Patterson's puck out. That's nicely on towards Michael Cleary. James McNaughton is his marker. That's Cleary. And that's just inches to the right of the post and wide. One of our colleagues watching this match in hospital this afternoon, Jim Carney. Good afternoon to you, Jim. Hope you're enjoying it. Niall Patterson from Lochiel Shamrocks. Conceded just 1 goal in 3 championship matches so far. A mighty puck out against the breeze. Dominic McMullen in there with Paul McKillen. McKillen whipping onto it. It's caught smartly, however, by Noel Sheehy out of defence for Tipperary. Down towards Michael Cleary. Run on to Nicky English. Nice pick up, the first piece of action against O'Kane. Slotting it forwards towards Cormac Bonnar. Not the best use of possession because Bonnar wasn't expecting it. he was trying to bring Cormac Bonnar into the match that time with an alert little pass, but Bonnar wasn't expecting it. Terry Donnelly with a word there to Gary O'Kane. There was a suggestion indeed up in the north last week that James McNaughton might be the one who'd mark this man, Nicky English. Kieran Barr out there on the half-forward line. That's not surprising, as Desi Donnelly, or as Brian Donnelly rather, has gone in full forward. And Colm Bonnar here with a stinging hand injury. Dominic McMullen, well set up in towards Terence McNaughton. McNaughton with the ball in his hands, looking for space, not getting it. Bobby Ryan closing him down quickly. Again Bobby Ryan against Terence McNaughton, and Sambo running out of space, and it's John Heffernan following it out there eagerly, and then a high challenge, and that's going to be a free into Antrim. Free into Antrim for a high challenge there on Leonard McKeegan. McKeegan was right up with the attack that time, he with the black helmet, and the referee said it wasn't a fair shoulder-to-shoulder challenge. The feet of Alcan McFetrich, bidding to put the sides on level terms. A tricky angle, and he's put it wide. Antrim's first wide, Tipp with 3 wides, but Tipp with a 1-point lead. And a very good afternoon as well to Network 2 Television here in Ireland. You've just joined us, I gather, and you are very welcome indeed. In the All-Ireland final, Tipper ahead by 1-0. Leonard McKeegan under the dropping ball there with Desi Donnelly. Dominic McKinley trying to get it out. Pat Fox trying to get it in towards John Lahey. Nice skill, good vision, spotting Colm Bonnar in an advanced position. Still Colm Bonnar going in on his own, a good solo run, but can he finish with a score? It's outside to Cleary, stopped by Patterson. Out as far as Gary O'Kane for Antrim, and Antrim living dangerously down there in defence. That's up to Kieran Barr, the mighty captain. And O'Donovan Ross's in Belfast, advancing, looking for the equaliser. He's put it wide. Another good opportunity that time. Antrim's best, surely. Well, Kieran Barr, they say about him that he is regarded as a man for the big occasion and a player who revels in the open spaces of Croke Park. It was Colm Bonnar at the other end. When that was broken up after he ran into space and played it wide outside, nothing really came of it. Back with the action, Cormac Bonnar and Pat Fox. Doesn't need too much space to get the shot in to Niall Patterson. Patterson, a high challenge that time, and the referee speaking to Nicky English. English is the player who's been called across for that challenge there on Niall Patterson. He was booked in the match against Galway, remember. But this was the challenge as Niall Patterson was going in there. Watch for number 15, Nicky English, coming across. The referee regarded it as a dangerous challenge. Patterson here has taken the last month or so off from his musical duties. The lead guitarist then and goalkeeper. Another huge one, dropping in the tip half back line. Declan Carr going back, making it secure. Good catch. Down towards Pat Fox. Beaten for it by Desi Donnelly. That's going to be quite a duel this afternoon. Across to Kieran Barr, operating at right half forward. Trying to get it forward to Dominic McMullen, broken up by Colm Bonnar. And this is James McNaughton, a brother of substitute Danny, in towards Kieran Barr, not getting a great deal of length in the puck, but reaching Kieran Barr, fouled in possession that time by John Kennedy. And a free to Antrim, which will take some of the pressure off their defence. Antrim looking to players like Kieran Barr, like Alcan McFetrich, and like Aidan McCarry, who really hasn't had a chance so far to shine in a match which is now 8.5 minutes old. James McNaughton, the one who's going to take this one. From 65 metres out, again it's got a tail in it, and despite the best efforts of Sambo McNaughton to keep it in play, no luck. So just 1 point to show so far. Tip the Masters.
3 wides though that Antrim can ill afford, but one man who's making an impression for them is Kieran Barr, playing at right half forward. His height, his weight, his skill and his fetching ability certainly causing problems around the midfield, particularly for John Kennedy.
Dominic McMullen anxious to shine in this match, having been substituted in the last game against Offaly. That's John Kennedy drilling it across towards Pat Fox. Watched it delightfully drop over the head of Desi Donnelly. Stumbles. That's given Donnelly just enough time to get in, put in a challenge near the sideline, and the referee says the Antrim defender was holding Pat Fox, the left arm raised, and it's going to be a free in for Tipperary. Pat Fox with that damaged knee which has caused him some bother in the last few championship matches. He missed the concluding stages of the league, including the league final against Galway. That's the scene inside in the full back line. That's Terry Donnelly, number 3. Cormac Bonnar there with a bandage, it seems, inside the helmet as Nicky English is poised. Cheering from the Antrim fans. The strike from English, and the umpires consult, and the white flag is raised, and it's a second point. A point for Nicholas English, a point from a free, and it's 2 points to 0. So just 1 point from play so far, that credited to Michael Cleary from Nenagh, Tipp's left half forward. Patterson's puck out. McMullen under it with McCarry. McCarry met it. That's in towards Brian Donnelly. Tried to turn Conor O'Donovan, not succeeding, and it's away by Declan Carr. Dominic McKinley, centre half back. Woody, as they call him. Conal Bonnar has started well. That's a good fetch as well. Nice bit of judgment on his left-hand side across towards Michael Cleary, beaten by James McNaughton to Dominic McMullen. Low towards McCarry once again, getting there ahead of Bobby Ryan. Trying to link up with Brian Donnelly. That's a good piece of interchange from Antrim. Can they finish with a score? No! Wide of the target again. Antrim's 4th wide. Tipp with 3 wides, but Tipp, as we said, 2 points to the good. He was the man who got the opening score in the semi-final last year against Tipperary. That was after 9 minutes. Ken Hogan here, who recently led Lorrha to the North Tipp title. That was Declan Carr. Dominic McKinley, centre half back, wide, and John Kennedy judging it well and letting it hop out harmlessly out over the sideline. Padraig Horan from Offaly is the linesman on this near side, an all-Leinster team of officials this afternoon. The slitter there hit well, met well by Kennedy. Gary O'Kane, the under-21-year-old, the youngest member of the Antrim team, in trouble. Assisted by Terry Donnelly, gets it out as far as Paul McKillen. McKillen lifting the storm with a left-sided chip down to Alcon McFetridge. Terry Donnelly there with Declan Carr. Met well. That's John Lahey with space at a premium, as you'll gather. Lahey once again, second chance, high and wide. The level of marksmanship on offer so far, not of the highest order by any manner of means. Tipp, the hottest of favourites coming into this game. Everybody but everybody, bar the most ardent Antrim man, expected them to win. Antrim have their own hopes, their own plans. Paul McKillen beaten by Declan Carr. It runs on to Declan Ryan, met by Nicky English, beating James McNaughton, and that's a good run. That's beauty. Best point of the source of the match so far. A second point for Nicky English, a second point from play for Tipperary. They're 3 points ahead, and that's the super skill of Nicky English, well illustrated there, Jimmy.
Yes, the touch of the master. Only the master can do those sort of things. The sort of thing we expect from not once but often in this game. Beautiful score.
Antrim will have to be wary of that particular tactic. Nicky English did it with great success in the first half against Galway as well. Here's Fox, really applying the pressure now and trying to pick off their points. This is Cormac Bonnar, 2 men inside, one of them English. Difficult to control, however. Closed down by 2 Antrim players. That leaves a Tipp man free, but the hand pass results in a foul on Nicky English as he was trying to link up with Colm Bonnar. It's going to be a free in for Tipperary in a very scoreable position. Watch as Cormac Bonnar had 2 players inside to aim at, one of them Michael Cleary, the other Nicky English. English found himself in some difficulty controlling the early one. Watch for Colm Bonnar coming deep, and there Dominic McMullen fouling him. So a free in. English to take the free outside the 20-metre line, and it's a simple tap-over free, 4 points to 0. Nicky English with attention being required there, and a little drop of the water as well. You may well have seen there that he seemed to pick up a cut on the right hand. Declan Ryan Bit of McKinley, down towards Fox. This could be dangerous. Terry Donnelly getting it out, however, towards Leonard McKeegan. Antrim will be settled by a score. That's what they need very badly. Terence McNaughton has now moved out left half forward, and it's obvious that Ulcan McFetrich has gone forward, top of the left. Meanwhile, the words being exchanged there in this splendid scene at Croke Park this afternoon. 68,000 people here, a capacity crowd at Croke Park. The last time that Antrim played here, 1943, was during the war years. It was 1943, and transport, well, was rather difficult to come by. A challenge with McCarry there on the Tipperary captain Bobby Ryan. And the referee going across there to have a word with Pascal Long, and I think the ball may well end up being thrown in between two players, Bobby Ryan and Terence McNaughton. Referee wanting them both back. McMullen is poised as well, just in case it comes his way, and the referee signalling that it's going to be an Antrim ball. Ulcan McFetrich, this about 33 metres out, right near the sideline. A vital shot, this, for Antrim, just to give them a little bit of confidence with nearly 16 minutes gone in the first half. They haven't scored so far, and Ulcan McFetrich has put that right. A point by Ulcan McFetrich from a free. Now will that settle them down? The Antrim fans would like to think so. Just 3 points between them. For fans all over Britain, indeed, maybe watching this for the first time, or in Australia, a goal equals 3 points in hurling and Gaelic football. So just a goal between the teams right now. Declan Ryan beaten. McMullen getting it out to Paul McKillen. McMullen once again trying to assist his midfield colleague. Kieran Barr trying to pick it up. It runs on to John Kennedy. Cool as always, lovely skill, nice style. Down towards Cormac Bonnar. Terry Donnelly's in difficulty, but the goalkeeper comes out. He's fouled as he was doing so. And Niall Patterson picking up a knock on the head that time. The referee has signalled the free out for Antrim. This is the action again in replay. Now, was Patterson fouled on that occasion? No foul there so far. Challenge certainly. Well, down he went, but it's hard to see where there was a foul or a knock on the head, I must say. Terence McNaughton breaking it down to Paul McKillen. McKillen from midfield, high, speculatively. A real hit and hope shot, that one. And that's 5 wides now for Antrim, Jimmy.
Just a quick comment, that's the 5th wide. They'll rule those, as I said before. Quick comment on that Bonnar-Patterson incident. I think Niall Patterson may have seen the rehearsal of this final and thought there was a stroke coming, but it certainly didn't come in the replay.
And so Declan Carr carries it forward towards Declan Ryan. An overhead hand pass. Making amends, however. And that's a goal! Declan Ryan has scored a speculative goal off the goalkeeper. 18 minutes gone in the first half, and the Clonoulty man hit it in, hoping for a point. The goalkeeper put up his stick, and it glanced off the stick and went into the back of the goal. Oh, a real setback for Antrim. The Tipp fans now fully confident. Well, the Antrim fans probably feel quite exasperated at this stage. Coming here with lots of hope, a good deal of confidence among themselves as well, even though they had been fairly well written off by everyone else. John Heffernan towards Declan Ryan, picked up by Leonard McKeegan. Ulcan McFetrich, a chance, and it's put over the bar by Brian Dunphy. There was surely a goal chance there for the taking by Brian Donnelly after Ulcan McFetrich had set him up. But that's the position, won 4 to 2 points. That long ball finding the man now at top of the left, Ulcan McFetrich. Donnelly didn't think about a goal. He got it on his right side and put it smartly over the crossbar. Back with the action. It's Fox. And a point. Clinical finishing by Pat Fox, his first of the afternoon. Tipp showing some exquisite touches in attack. Oh, the Tipp fans absolutely surprised, and Niall Patterson the most surprised one of all following that Tipp goal. John Kennedy getting it down. McKinley's beaten for it. McKeegan going across with Gary O'Kane. Runs on towards Declan Carr. Down towards Cormac Bonnar. Trying to set it up. Herlihy. Oh! May well have come off the post that time for Leahy. Cormac Bonnar. Antrim being given a feral grilling right now by Tipperary. People who said that the opening 20 minutes would be vital. Well, that may well turn out to be the case. That goal concession was one which Antrim could well have done without. Interesting that it's John Leahy who's coming across to take the 65, first of the match so far. Dropping it into the right-hand side. Pat Fox under it with Desi Donnelly and the umpire signalling, but it beat them all. This is the incident just a moment ago, and that did come off the post indeed from the stick of John Leahy. So Tipp with one off the post and a fairly fortunate goal as well, but really are the masters so far. Terry Donnelly down towards Brian Donnelly. Across beautifully to Paul McKillen, and that's better. It's over the bar from the midfielder Paul McKillen. McKillen, who scored 4 points in the championship coming into this match, 2 against Down and 2 against Kildare, giving the Antrim fans a little bit of hope. Ken Hogan, both goalkeepers this afternoon, renowned for their ability to puck that ball out a fair old distance. Declan Ryan, the goal scorer after 18 minutes. Well, they all count, but I imagine that Declan Ryan would be even a little embarrassed by that particular goal. Obviously intending for a point as Dominic McKinley concedes the free, and once again Nicky English coming out to take it as he looks at the goal. And this is his target. The little chip in towards Michael Cleary, slipping. Gary O'Kane picking it up. Fouled by Declan Ryan as he was trying to get away his clearance. Declan Ryan returning to the half-forward line, no doubt to add much-needed strength and physical presence. Niall Patterson's free. Brilliantly caught by Colm Bonnar, excelling at this stage in the match. Declan Carr dovetailing perfectly with his midfield partner. Down to Cormac Bonnar. Can they engineer a score out of the move? Terry Donnelly, unyielding. Slipping as he was trying to get that ball away, and it's finally Desi Donnelly who gets it out to the middle towards Kieran Barr. Collided that time with Dominic McMullen, and Tipperary said that'll do nice, and it's Declan Carr who's now fouled on this occasion by Donal Armstrong. Armstrong drifting out around the centre of the field now. In fact, in last year's semi-final, that's where he played. Let's take a look at this piece of action again as Armstrong went in very high on Declan Carr. And here's the resultant free, taken by Nicky English, and flawlessly struck over the crossbar for his 4th point of the match, 3 of them coming from frees, and Tipperary then cruising into a 1-goal and 3-point lead. Nicky English, acknowledged as one of the great masters of modern hurling. Declan Ryan going back to make a bit of space for himself, making it look really easy just now. Here's Nicky English again outside the 45-minute line, half and softly hitting that one in. A little bit of backspin on it, it seems, but Pat Fox has picked it up and there's 2 loose men inside. One of them was Michael Cleary, having now to go back and pick it up. Here's English once again, trying to turn through. James McNaughton, still English, and taken down, and that's going to be a free. Or is it? No, the referee says no free. Interesting. The Antrim fans certainly agreed with it. Well, look at it yourselves, and was it a fair shoulder that time on English? Making his way in towards the large rectangle, challenged by James McNaughton, and the shoulder there, yes, Terry Donnelly. It's McCarry. Paul McKillen. And it beats them all for pace.
Antrim's problems at the moment, apart from the scoreboard, are that they're not getting any change at all out of midfield. And what's more, on the short ball the Tipperary play, when they play it either intentionally or accidentally, the concentration of marking by the Antrim backs isn't good enough at this level. As against that, they've had 5 wide, so the score should only be a point in it. Still very much in it, the Ulstermen.
As we watch Donald Armstrong now certainly playing at midfield. Conal Bonnar cuts out the supply of ball to the forwards. That's intended for Pat Fox, but there's nobody there right now except Desi Donnelly. Back towards Conal Bonnar. Maybe he'll change the direction of the play on this occasion. That diagonal ball linking up with another youngster, John Lahey. One came off the post earlier, but this one he struck straight over the crossbar. A delightful point by John Lahey. And it all came, of course, from that slack clearance by Desi Donnelly back to Conal Bonnar, who linked up with Lahey, who made the Tipp fans happy once again, and the score recorded up on the scoreboard. John Kennedy, like a colossus, getting in there into midfield. That's Donald Armstrong, not with any great commitment right now, and it's Conal Bonnar. James McNaughton. Well, to Tipp's credit in this first half, if they read all the publicity, which they obviously must have, knowing they were red-hot favourites, they certainly haven't allowed it to upset their concentration or their determination. Again, Fox against Desi Donnelly. Sideline ball for Tipperary. Desi Donnelly first moved into defence for a league tie against Tipperary last February, where he marked Fox, incidentally, limited him to 2 points on that occasion, and managed to score 1 himself. Michael Cleary stepping up for this sideline ball. 26, nearly 27 minutes gone in the first half. Well cut in, McKeegan, secure. Good fetch. Smart stroke out of defence, but only as far as John Kennedy. The Tipp halfbacks pressing forward, looking for that loose ball, but unable to turn it to any great value on that occasion. Tipp with a lot of possession. Kennedy annoyed with himself, quite furious. I hope he can't lip read. And Captain Bobby Ryan rallying his forces at centre half back. Meanwhile, Patterson with the puck out. Tipp with just a very gentle breeze in this first half. Again, it's Kennedy. He is really wound up. They're all up. Colm Bonnar towards Michael Cleary. Colm Bonnar again. Superb at midfield. 2-2 defenders. One of them, Leonard McKeegan, and the referee sees that Dominic McKinley concedes the free that time. Nicky English going back to retrieve the ball, and he will be the one, I think, who will take the free from around the 45-metre line. It was a lovely run through that time. And finally, Dominic McKinley, with that wild stroke, which you're not allowed to do in hurling, concedes the free. Hurling a very disciplined game. And English, as always, superb. 1-8 for Tipperary, 3 points for Antrim. English with 5 points of that impressive tally so far.
Now Kieran Barr started like a storm at right half forward, but John Kennedy got completely on top of him. Barr may have spent himself out in that spell. Now, surprisingly, he's moved to midfield, where Tipp have been dominating. Kennedy is playing outstandingly well, but for me at the moment, Tipp's best player is the green-helmeted Colm Bonnar at midfield.
And it's his brother Conal who chips in the sideline cut. Down towards Pat Fox, read by Gary O'Kane. Good block down by Pat Fox. Cormac Bonnar spreading terror again in the Antrim ranks. Oh, nice vision, linking up back there with John Lahey. Spotting he was free in a cute angle, but wide of the target, and that's Tipperary's 8th wide of this first half. Antrim have 5, and only 3 Antrim points so far from Paul McKillen, Brian Donnelly, and Elkin McFetrich with a free. Towards Dominic McMullen, now playing at a right half forward. Marked by Kennedy superbly. That's superb timing. It's 8 minutes now since Antrim have scored in this All-Ireland final, but watch one of the great skills of the game of hurling. Keady going in with the block, keeping his eyes on the ball at all times. It was perfect timing, great wrist work, and super determination. It's cut delightfully in, could have gone anywhere, but there's a push on one of the defenders, and the referee signals a free out for Tipperary. So an 8-point difference. No sign of any movement across on the Antrim bench so far, with 5 minutes to go before half-time. But there is a substitute there in the background, but I don't think he's warming up. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see Danny McNaughton introduced at some future stage. Meanwhile, it's Declan Carr. Ambitiously in, high and over the crossbar. His first point comes with just over 4 minutes remaining in the first half, stretching Tipperary's lead, a lead of 9 points. That, incidentally, was Declan Carr's first point in this year's championship, a championship in which Tipperary beat Limerick, Waterford, Galway, and are now lording it against Antrim. Can they bridge the 18-year gap? On the evidence of the first half so far, the answer has to be yes. English steadying himself. Superb! His 6th point of the match. 110 to 3 points. And English crediting some of those out around the field, making it possible for him to notch such scores and delighting Babs Keating, Tony kneeling there, getting off his knees, and so many other members of the Tipperary bench.
Well, an example there of the slackness of Antrim's marking. Look at the time that English had between getting possession, stopping, looking, and actually picking a spot. At this level, he should not be allowed that sort of time.
Terence McNaughton. And that one has gone over the bar for Antrim's 4th point. Terence McNaughton's first. In the 1943 final, they scored only 4 points, and now, 3 minutes before half-time, well, at least they've reached that tally, but they'd want an awful lot more. Tyrone Barr beaten by John Leahy, or Leahy, and another one. The shots now simply raining in there in front of Niall Patterson's goal, and John Leahy from Mullinahone has got a second. 3 minutes before the interval. The spread of scores very impressive right now among the Tipperary forwards. Cormac Bonnar is the only one so far who's failed to score, but he's been involved in engineering some of the moves that led to scores. Paul McKillen, that's up neatly as far as Brian Donnelly, still knees on the ground, linking up with Donal Armstrong, turning. Antrim needing a goal to boost their hopes before the second half. It breaks out to Declan Carr, however. Across here to John Leahy. Nice style, good switch, swivel of the hips. To Pat Fox, getting there ahead of his man Desi Donnelly. Still Fox. Hand passing outside to Nicky English, turning inside the challenge, and another one. 6-7 points now for Nicky English. 3 of those have come from play, but he really has been a master leader in attack, and that's the tally they've amassed with just over 2 minutes to go before the half-time whistle. The goal which Antrim conceded after 18 minutes to Declan Ryan, that really was a stern body blow, because Tipp have picked up the tempo of the match. And look at this for style, panache and skill by English. Tried to round Terry Donnelly, stopped, and it's gone for a 65. The referee, I think, allowed an advantage that time because English appeared to be fouled as he was going through. This was the move again by Nicky English. Gary O'Kane a good 7 yards behind him at this stage. Really having no luck. Watch for Terry Donnelly advancing, trying to block it down. Fair old crack there by Terry Donnelly. That I thought was a foul. The referee, I think, allowed an advantage, and it was blocked in any case by Patterson. Leahy will take the 65, the second in this first half. That's on its way. It's a point. John Leahy has now got 3. So everything working like a dream so far for Tipperary. Paul McKillen at midfield, there with Aidan McCarry. Comes out to Donal Armstrong. Antrim, who need leadership from the likes of Barr and McFetrich. This is Brian Donnelly. They need a goal as well. Oh, McMullen couldn't connect. The ball going away from him. And that's Colm Bonnar back there. trying to sweep it out of defence, and finally he concedes a 65, I think, or is it a free? The referee says it's a free in, a free from the 20-metre line. Bonnar says, I just turned my back on him, referee, and the referee penalises Tipperary by making the free, or turning it into a more favourable free, shall we say. In front of the post, just a little to the right, Ulcan McFetridge drives it over the crossbar. He's got a second point. Both of those have come from frees, but this is the man they look to for leadership. So almost on the call of half-time, Antrim fans bitterly disappointed, but Ken Hogan feeling maybe that he's got an All-Ireland medal half in his grasp already as the whistle sounds, bang on 35 minutes, and Tipp, with a huge cheer from their fans, go in, the confident leaders, and she can smoke another one during half-time, happy in the knowledge that her team, with subs delighted as well, and English, who contributed 7 points in the first half, Declan Ryan, who got the all-important goal. They go into the dressing rooms at half-time ahead by 1 goal and 13 points to Antrim's 5 points.
Yes, a half there, a tale of 2 goals. One that should have been, but wasn't for Antrim when Brian Donnelly had the goal chance. One that shouldn't have been, but was for Tipperary when Declan Ryan had the chance. Antrim with 5 wides in the half. They could ill afford those. Tipperary on top at midfield, and Nicholas English getting 7 points. He's the thorn. Bonnar and Carr are the foundation.
Well, I think Dominic McMullen is the player who's made way for Danny McNaughton. So it's a straight switch at midfield. Brian Donnelly still operating at full forward. Kieran Barr out at right half forward, start of the second half. This is the scene then, a packed Croke Park. Dominic McKinley. This is James McNaughton, looking for a little space there from John Lahey. Down towards the aforementioned Brian Donnelly. Ball breaks loose, however, across towards Noel. Sheehy flicks it away nonchalantly towards John Kennedy, trying to slip away from Kieran Barr, but it's a sideline cut. John Kennedy making the most of his opportunity, missed the concluding stages of the league because of injury, and comes in today in place of Paul Delaney. Well, John, I think, expected it to be an Antrim sideline ball. Instead, it's going to be a tip ball, one feels. And Conor O'Donovan is going across, and it's a free. So the fullback whipping it out into the Antrim half-back line. Dominic McKinley beaten for it, but it's James McNaughton now back marking Nicky English. Leonard McKeegan. That was towards Aidan McCarry. This is Sambo McNaughton towards Ulcan McFetridge. Antrim to get into their rhythm. McNaughton. Oh, that was one that could have done with. It may still come off. Kennedy back there, however, for Tipperary. Getting away from a would-be challenge, but not a good clearance. Straight to Aidan McCarry. Antrim pressing home. Good block, however, by Conal Bonnar. Superb block down on the wing-back, and Kennedy half hitting it away, but only as far as Danny McNaughton. One of the fittest players in this Antrim team. That's Donal Armstrong. Antrim coming out for the second half as though they mean business. Looking for respectability and acceptance at this high level. That's McFetridge, and there was a push, and it's going to be a free in for Antrim, and a golden opportunity of another point for them. They certainly showed a lot of resolve in that burst. Donal Armstrong getting well by Noel Sheehy, and indeed it's a penalty. A penalty for Antrim. Yes, it was inside, but the referee signalling a penalty. A free by Bobby Ryan, or a foul by Bobby Ryan. Kennedy, Hogan and O'Donovan poised on the goal line. Aidan McCarry, who scored a penalty against Offaly. Can this bring them right back into it? It's stopped on the line by John Kennedy and whipped away. The Antrim fans numbed up on Hill 16, and the Tipp fans raising their flags triumphantly once again. McCarry did as he did it against Offaly, simply threw it up, hit it wildly in there, stopped first of all by Hogan and cleared out by John Kennedy. A let-off for Tipperary, but a goal badly needed by Antrim and by this match, let it be said. Pat Fox. Nicely taken up here by Michael Cleary. Good running forward by Pat Fox, trying to advance inside the cover of Desi Donnelly, who fouled his man. Referee Pat Delaney signalling a free against Desi Donnelly. So a chance for the opening score of the second half after all the hustle and bustle down at the other end. English, will remind you, scored 7 points in the first half. And so his first of the second half. A huge gap to make up for Antrim. A solidly hit puck out there by Niall Patterson. Bobby Ryan letting it go by. And it's Conal Bonnar. Lovely pick up here by Pat Fox. A little chip into space will test the pace of Michael Cleary, but it was just hit a little too hard even for him. Sideline ball for Antrim. Leonard McKeegan going back to take it. Desi Donnelly needing a new Hurley, that's the reason for the delay.
Still haven't repaired midfield, and the Tipp wing backs, Kennedy and young Conal Bonnar, are really outstanding today. It's difficult to see Antrim really pulling anything out and getting into it, especially with Nicky.
Nicky beating James McNaughton inside towards Cormac. Bonnar! Nicky English, the one who put it away finally. Tipperary 2-14. Antrim a mere 5 points and 5 minutes gone in the second half. Goal and 8 points credited to Nicky English, the leader of the attack, going around James McNaughton that time, looking up then when he had that ball in his stick, trying to see what was inside. Cormac Bonnar was the first who was there. Patterson came out, and it came out off the post down to English, and alert English put it away smartly. Meanwhile, it's Danny McNaughton with a sideline ball for Antrim. Inside to Kieran Barr. Antrim's first wide of the second half, their 6th in all. On what's turning out to be a bitterly disappointing day for Antrim. Danny McNaughton breaking it down towards Aidan McCarry. Conal Bonnar meeting it and whipping it back into the Antrim defence, but out over the far sideline. Cormac Bonnar, who might well have had himself his first score in this match. The goalpost denying him. He won't worry about individual scores. He's contributing handsomely up in the attack. Kennedy letting it run out to Gary O'Kane, now at wing back. Ulkenbach Fettridge under it, Clue trying to get a little piece of the action, but it's Conor O'Donovan getting it out into midfield. Carr beaten by McKillen, and that's Sambo McNaughton with Antrim's first point of the second half. Terence McNaughton, or Sambo as they know him, up in the Glens, his second point. John Lahey trying to hold on to that puck out from Ken Hogan. Well, just when Antrim had themselves a penalty down at the other end, which was stopped on the goal line, Tipp within a couple of minutes in a breakaway get a goal at the other. Kieran Barr with Donald Armstrong, a little push in the back on Kieran Barr, the referee spots. One satisfied man, I'd imagine, at this stage, Michael Babs Keating, who took over the coaching of this side in 1986. Tipp were firmly in Division 2 of the league. Now 3 Munster Championships, and perhaps an All-Ireland as well. And that's wide of the target, off the stick of Ulster McFetridge. Or a point rather, the flag has been raised, the point indeed credited to Ulster McFetridge, and that is his third. Ken Hogan's puck out. Declan Ryan doing well on the 40. Paul McKillen with a nice block down by Declan Ryan. Terry Donnelly to the totally unmarked Bonnar. Look over his shoulder, it's blocked down by Danny McNaughton. And Antrim fans will begin to wonder just why McNaughton wasn't in from the very beginning of this match. English controlled and in control as always. Across to Leahy at wing forward. High. Dropping down and wide. An exaggerated build-up that time, and Leahy with plenty of time at his disposal. Tipp's first wide of the second half, 9th in all.
But still the slack marking is causing Antrim all sorts of problems. No hustle down on the Antrim bench. They mustn't have a sub capable of coming into this game. Kieran Barr's now trying his luck at centre half forward on Bobby Ryan, but no joy for them around that whole midfield diamond. It really is a total problem area for Antrim, and their marking is slack. Look at the time again English had. Look at the ball he played to the left wing there. Leahy had all the time to have a look up. I know he missed the score, but it's Antrim's really at the root of their problems now. Slack marking, lack of concentration.
Conor O'Donovan with the free on his own 45-metre line. In towards Pat Fox, neatly taken up with the right hand. Back to Leahy to make amends, which he doesn't. Another wide by John Leahy, 2 in the space of a minute. Leahy with 3 points so far, one of those coming from a free. Declan Carr, Bobby Ryan here. Carr one-handed, and that's going to be an Antrim sideline ball. One of the Tipperary players based here in Dublin, making the long route for training each night. McFetridge there at top of the left once again against John Heffernan. McNaughton missing it completely. Confidence not high in the Antrim ranks just now as Paul McKillen gets it a wide on the far side towards Danny McNaughton. It's blocked down well by Colm Bonnar. Aidan McCarry. Still McCarry. Oh, it's a goal! A goal which this game has needed. And McCarry is the one to supply it. Reminiscent of the one he got against Offaly as well. Tipp's lead is pegged back somewhat by that goal which has come 11 minutes into the second half. McCarry rounding John Leahy. A goal in his mind. And wide across the face of the goal and into the far corner. McCarry's third goal in this year's championship. Up at the other end is Cormac Bonnar. Outside the 20-metre line. Seeking to respond, but he's put it wide. And the wides are mounting up, and Tipp with 3 wides in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Niall Patterson, I'm sure, feels if Antrim can get another, who knows what could happen. Conal Bonnar breaking it down as far as Kieran Barr. This is Sambo McNaughton across towards the man at top of the right, Donal Armstrong. Tight man-to-man marking all over the field. Early stages in the second half. John Leahy seeking to link up with Nicky English. It breaks out to Declan Ryan instead. Again looking for support. 2 Antrim men committing themselves, and that leaves a Tipp man loose. On this occasion English steadying himself, and it's wide of the target. 4 wides now in succession by Tipperary.
That's noteworthy that Nicholas English hits a wide, so he's a mere mortal too. The whole Antrim forward line has completely changed. McFetridge has gone full forward. Barr is centre half forward. McCarry is right half forward. McNaughton is left half forward. And only Donal Armstrong is playing where he began the match, top of the right. And he is a free now. McNaughton wants to use it. As Antrim bid for a little bit more shape in their side, but it's Declan Carr
who breaks it up towards Pat Fox. Getting inside, Desi Donnelly once again. Cormac Bonnar calling for it. Fox going in on his own and putting it over the bar. His second point, Pat Fox's point. Coming 13 minutes into the second half. 21 points to 10. 2-15 for Tipperary. 1-7 for Antrim. McCarry again under the dropping ball there with John Kennedy. It's whipped on, however, by Colm Bonnar up to Declan Ryan. Good ground hurling. Off the stick there of James McNaughton. McNaughton on a man-to-man marking job in the second half with Nicky English. English hasn't scored from play in the second half. His 1 point coming from a free. Leahy all concentration, cutting it up, a good deep penetrating one inside towards Pat Fox. Cormac Bonnar there too. Leonard McKeegan trying to stymie the movement. It comes out to English, run into a high challenge from Denny McNaughton, I think, or from Dominic McKinley rather. It's McKinley is the one who commits the indiscretion. A high challenge right to the face that time. Centre half back having his name taken, and he becomes the first player in this final to have the name recorded by the referee. Watch it once again. English taking it up and then running straight into the high challenge, mouth high, and the referee right beside the action. So Nicky English with this simple tap over free. He's now scored a goal and 9 points. He said after last year's final that it all really passed him by. This was one he wanted to remember and really play his full part. John Leahy foraging back in his own half back line, a game competitor. McKinley getting it as far as Danny McNaughton. McNaughton buzzing around midfield, trying to get some momentum going for Antrim, but again it's Cleary who advances to English outside the 45-metre line, back inside towards Cleary, and it reaches him. Michael Cleary has put it over the bar, and he's got a second point. This Tipperary half-forward line has been very impressive this afternoon, aided and abetted, it must be said, by a skillful and alert full forward line. Conal Bonnar jumping with Terence McNaughton towards Kieran Barr. Blocked down by sheer commitment from Bobby Ryan and from John Leahy, and Carr says thank you and lifts the siege across towards James McNaughton's wing, getting there ahead of Nicky English. Across towards Terence McNaughton again. Antrim striving to show some enterprise, and it's McKeegan from the halfway line, and he's put it over the bar. He was right on the halfway line when he struck that one over cleanly and sweetly. Antrim a goal and 8 now. Declan Carr getting that one with some difficulty. He's had an exemplary match at midfield. That's James McNaughton beating Nicky English to that ball, but it breaks out only as far as John Leahy selling dummies ahead of Gary O'Kane. The vision then to spot that English was in an advanced position towards Pat Fox. Sharp, elusive, and the fans in the stands delighted as Pat Fox puts in Tipperary's third goal. A goal and 3 points now for the number 13. Again, English involved in the build-up. It really was superbly conceived. Fox in difficulty with 4 defenders beside him, but when he got the opening, he rounded it off in emphatic fashion. Superb Fox.
Yes, superb stuff, but not alone has Nicholas English contributed 1 goal, 9 points to the Tipperary tally. His running off the ball and his unselfish distribution has contributed enormously to the entire score of 3 goals and 17 points. It's English today at his composed best, I think.
Tipp with 3-4 in the second half so far. Declan Ryan again on the 40, creating menace and havoc. And a free. Well, Nicky English, it was forecast about him that he would have the best game he's ever had in the Tipperary colours. He certainly is contributing handsomely. Antrim, meanwhile, have introduced another substitute. And coming into the game is Declan McKillop in place of Gary O'Kane. So McKillop in, O'Kane out. And English nonchalantly taps it over the bar, increasing his own personal tally. His side now ahead, 3-18 to 1-8. It breaks down towards McKillop straight away. This is McCarry. And Leahy foraging back there again on his own half-back line to Declan Carr. And the referee spotted a foul on Leahy. And we spotted there just a moment ago that Nicky English seemed to be limping just a little bit. And there's Joe Hayes, and he may well be in the action very shortly. Donny Nealon and Babs Keating there checking the watch. Theo English there as well. John Kennedy, the free taker. Michael Cleary telling him out of shot to drive it in deep. But Paul McKillen has read it well. Challenged by Nicky English. Clearing to midfield. Conal Bonnar, superb. I suppose if there were an award for the young player of the year, he would certainly be hot in the running. Declan Carr. Paul McKillen is, again, he's played his heart out in the Antrim colours. And once again, Fox tormenting. McKeegan selling a dummy, taking it out. Dominic McKinley calling for it. Leahy contentious to let the Antrim man have possession. And it's McKillop stumbling and driving it downfield towards Elgin McFetrich, all the way as far as Ken Hogan. Colm Bonnar under it at midfield, good catch. Superb midfield play being demonstrated by Tipperary this afternoon. They've been the masters the entire match so far. Beautiful skill. And Ryan taking that pass from Cleary, puts it over the bar. He's now got a goal and the point. A rot set in really after his goal in the 18th minute. People were predicting, I suppose since the semi-finals, that it would be an imbalanced final. Sadly, that's the way it's turned out to be. Kennedy. Desi Donnelly looking over his shoulder. Just look where Pat Fox was. Antrim now looking for a few more scores. McFetrich pulling on it. Comes out. And a goal! Another one! By Brian Donnelly. A game of 5 goals. Antrim's second has come from Brian Donnelly. 21 minutes into the second half. So, 10 minutes after their first goal from Beaver McCarry, that ball from Desi Donnelly causing trouble in defence with McFetrich trying to get onto it, and watch as it was set up by McCarry, finding Brian Donnelly, and he rattled it into the top of the net. Superb goal. A point at the other end by Declan Carr. 3:20 for Tipperary, Antrim 2-8. Fast and furious spell in this match just now. Conor O'Donovan, blocked down by Kieran Barr. Antrim bidding to stay in touch with some goals. This is Carr once again, industrious as always. Driven out by Dominic McKinley for Antrim. Towards McKillop. Beating him, however, is John Leahy. He's operated almost as an additional left half back for much of the second half, foraging down there. Declan Ryan with a fine right-handed catch. English ahead of him. Ryan with confidence, composure. And he's put it high and he's put it over the bar. He's satisfied now with a point, a goal and 2 points in all. The goal was yawning that time with over 12 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Bonnar is the one who's going off, and Joe Hayes is the one who's coming on. And this was that latest score by Tipperary. Well, if it were a tighter game, I'm quite certain that Ryan would have gone for a goal. He had support, but he was content to tap it over the bar. Meanwhile, down injured, James McNaughton, in need of attention, back on his feet. Following that puck out, it comes off McCarry. Donald Armstrong down there. Brian Donnelly rather, the second goal scorer for Antrim. Bobby Ryan driving it out of defence, up towards Declan Ryan. McKillop once again trying to get it for Antrim, but it's Michael Cleary. Half-hit shot, Leonard McKeegan, solid at left half back throughout the game. From Declan McKillop towards Danny McNaughton, and a disappointed Danny, who's been part of the Antrim action for nearly a dozen years now. Very much the veteran of the side, injured for the All-Ireland semi-final. Conal Bonnar, sideline cut towards Declan Ryan, runs on towards Pat Fox. Outside to Declan McKillop. Kept in play by Malcolm McFetrich, could have gone anywhere, and it's John Heffernan who drives it out of a jittery defence just now. Colm Bonnar towards Nicky English. English with a goal and 10 points. Oh, a lovely change of direction. Linking up with Joe Hayes just in the action. Slipping at the critical moment, giving Terry Donnelly just a piece of the action out as far as Declan Ryan, and the slack clearance is punished in emphatic style. Declan Ryan has contributed a goal and 3 points. So the scores amass, and that's Joe Hayes, fitting that he should come in to share in what looks like a Tipperary victory.
Joe Hayes, and it's nice to see him in. Nice to see a man who's contributed so much over the past few years to them. Just watch for a second here as Antrim try to mount something with McKillop. Difficult for Antrim to get back into this game. We hear a lot of criticisms recently of referees. One thing that's got to be said today is that Pat Delaney from Laois has had an almost error-free game. Let's praise them when they don't have errors, just as we criticise them when they do. But the behaviour and attitude of the teams has helped amazingly well. There hasn't been a dirty stroke in the entire match.
A match which is now just a little over 9 minutes still to go. Tipp 3:22, Antrim 2:8. Terence McNaughton. John Heffernan coming up to take this sideline ball for Tipperary. Towards Bobby Ryan. Ryan always part of the action. Conal Bonnar there, and Antrim about to bring in Mickey Sullivan from the St. Paul's Club in Belfast. Antrim with just about 9 senior clubs in their county, so a small selection of players to choose from. The high challenge from James McNaughton there on Nicky English results in a free in for Tipperary. Tony O'Connell, who served Tipperary loyally and faithfully over the last few years, is about to share in the action as well, it seems. Donny Nealon there beside him. Meanwhile, it's Nicky English. And that's gone sailing over the crossbar, as so many others have done. He's now got a goal and 11 points. And the big cheer greets Donny O'Connell. Tony O'Connell, the second of the Tipperary substitutes. So he comes in, and just looking around to see who may have gone off. It may well be John Lahey has tired himself off. That would seem to be the case. Meanwhile, it's Terence McNaughton. James McNaughton to Kieran Barr, low inside towards Donald Armstrong, and Conor O'Donovan read it superbly, got there, and now bids to keep it away from Malcolm McFetrich. Who did he throw that one? It's John Kennedy. Towards Donny O'Connell, James McNaughton, more in tune with the match because he's been on for the entire 63 minutes so far. Here's Joe Hayes without the stick. Still Joe Hayes, stickless. Antrim regrouping with James McNaughton. Terence McNaughton down towards Kieran Barr. And it's with Beaver McCarry. A little trip that time as the fullback was coming out, and it's going to be a free from the 20-metre line. A good run forward that time. Full of style and full of pace by Aidan McCarry. Donald Armstrong there inquiring as to the well-being of Antrim's number 11. Watch it again. It was a good run, and Tipp's fullback Conor O'Donovan came out, tripped him on the 20-metre line. Pat Delaney then, an ordinary 20-metre free, and Aidan McCarry will be the free taker. And at this stage I wonder whether he will go for another goal. 6 minutes to go. The goal attempt is blocked down by John Kennedy and a combination of the other backs. Still Kennedy, stopped by Terence McNaughton, looking over his left shoulder, soloing forward. Colm Bonnar, Declan Carr, and Carr once again to carry that ball forward into Antrim territory, one of the great skills of hurling. Donny O'Connell picking it up. He's again trying to raid on the Antrim backline, and that's Mickey Sullivan. Just in as a substitute for Antrim, and the referee perfectly positioned to spot the foul on Mickey Sullivan. St. Paul's, the club of Jim Nelson, the team manager. Free quickly taken, and it's gone over the bar. A good point, which has been scored there by Declan McKillop. So with 5 minutes to go, it's very much as predicted. Tipp have been the masters virtually from the beginning. Conal Bonnar towards Donny O'Connell, Joe Hayes, the two Tipperary substitutes, with some of the Tipp fans already coming in to celebrate their success. Time still remaining, still Hayes. Fox was waiting inside, fouled, and I wonder, is it another penalty? Well, the referee signals that it is a free in, and the Tipp fans at this stage won't particularly worry what particular brand of free it's going to turn out to be. Pat Delaney confirming that there are 4 minutes to go, with substitute Declan McKillop there. An ordinary 20-metre free, or no, it's a penalty, indeed, yes. The backs, just 3 on the goal line. Desi Donnelly, Niall Patterson and James McNaughton. The second penalty of the match, and Nicky English taps it over the bar. That was the plan. If they were sufficiently ahead, he was going to be the one who would take the penalties. He's now got a goal and 12. Time remaining just in the right-hand corner of your screen. And Tipp making a third and final substitute. Michael Cleary's gone off, and Aidan Ryan has come on to share in the victory. And I think with each and every one of the substitutions Tipp have made in the second half, it's been a question of giving players who deserved it a fair old run in this All-Ireland final success. Indeed, there were others whom they might well have brought on, but limited to 3, and the 2 subs taken off, both of them smiling because they realised they played their full part. Very much a team performance, a panel performance. Tipp with about 24 of 5 players in their panel. Superbly fit, tribute no doubt to Phil Conway's great training, as Noel Sheehy gets it out of defence, but only as far as Paul McKillen, and it's Salka McFetrich looking for another score, down off Conor O'Donovan and away by Conal Bonnar, who's been magnificent. Tipp with so many heroes this afternoon. Their attitude was A1. They might well have gone into this match believing much of the publicity that all they had to do was turn up, and then turn up in Thurles in Semple Stadium for the victory celebrations tomorrow night, but they certainly did the business. 2 minutes remaining. as Desi Donnelly chips it in. It comes down off the goalkeeper, and it's another goal. It's another goal for Antrim. A goal by Donal Armstrong, I think, is the one who got it. Ken Hogan was the one who dropped it down, and Donal Armstrong gets a third goal for Antrim, putting a bit more respectability on that scoreline. Desi Donnelly, a difficult one for Ken Hogan. Couldn't quite hold on to it, and watch as it broke out to the man coming in on the right, and that was Donal Armstrong. So just over a minute to go, and Tipp, who won the first All-Ireland in 1887, seem poised to maintain their record of having won the championship in every decade. Kieran Barr tussling with the other captain, Bobby Ryan. Bobby breaking the stick, calling for a replacement up towards his brother Aidan Ryan. Leonard McKeegan there for Antrim. Mickey Sullivan there with the red helmet for Antrim, and it's Declan Ryan, one of Tipp's goal scorers. Paul McKillen. Aidan Ryan, who shared in their Munster triumphs. On to Nicky English. Oh! It's a superb goal! An exquisite shot. Precision shooting from English. And as the seconds tick down and the fans come in, there can be only one result. Aidan Ryan supplied the ammunition. And watch this for a volley finish from one of the greatest strikers in the game at the moment. English number 15 met it first time. Wham! Top of the net. Superb goal.
Well, I forecast at the start of this program before a ball was struck that English would have the game of his life in the big time. 2 goals, 11 points. I think I was right.
Well, it's been a devastating afternoon, where Tipperary are concerned in their mentors and substitutes. That's it! Tipperary are the champions. The famine is well and truly over, and Tipp's hunger is fulfilled. The team that Babs built, aided by Theo Andoni, has bridged an 18-year gap as Tipp win. The final score was Tipperary, 4 goals and 24 points. Antrim, a disappointing team this afternoon, 3 goals and 9. Well, there was some devastating stuff in that second half, some great goals as well. None better, surely, than that clinical and classic finish by English, who ended up with a personal tally of 2 goals and 12 points. And so Tipperary, with that final score, are the champions. For the 23rd time, the McCarthy Cup returns to the Premier County.
Remarkable performance by Tipperary. Antrim came with the right attitude, some very good players, but not enough good players to keep it closer than double scores. Who is going to be the man of the match? With the 2 Bonnars, particularly young Conal and Colm were outstanding. So was John Kennedy, Declan Carr. But Nicholas English scored 2 goals and 12 points. That's 18 points, which exactly equals Antrim's total for the entire game.
Regarding to the reach, Bobby, August on Shin, Conor McCarthy could teach every dollar.
Like his uncle, Pat Stakel, 40 years ago, Bobby Ryan receives the McCarthy Cup. Tipperary have bridged an 18-year gap. They're the worthy champions. And these Tipp fans who've travelled the country in support of their team